In my last video, I've shown a way to make stencils that auto-align to the PCB, and at the end of it, to reflow the solder paste, I used a small electric oven. And I've controlled the temperature by hand. Honestly, trying to match the reflow profile like this was pretty frustrating. So I wanted to try to make an automated system. I wanted to make a board on my own, test the firmware, and hopefully see it working. I know devices like this already exist, but sometimes I love making stuff by myself, also to play around with my knowledge and technology. First of all, I need to understand how the oven works internally. This means that I have to open it. I can remove the temperature sensor that I was using for manual reflow and the external screws. Some of them got a strange key, so I used brute force to make a horizontal cut for a flat screwdriver. Once open, I could see how the internal circuit was made. To hit the two internal high power resistors, it is clear that they must be connected to the home power supply. Now, the line is interrupted by a mechanical system that closes the circuit according to the sensor, the temperature knob, and the timer. Unfortunately, the line can't be closed electronically in this way. To control AC current using a microcontroller, I want to use a solid-state relay, or SSR. I won't go in detail into the semiconductor theory behind it, but to keep things simple, I'm simply using it as a switch that closes whenever the GPIO of the microcontroller goes high. So it's obviously time to make a PCB that controls everything. I know I can use an Arduino or something similar, but I can make double-sided boards. So why not make one? In my next video, I will finally explain in detail and in simple terms how I make them. The microcontroller, which in this case is a STM32F0, will control the SSR and the OLED display. It will receive the start or end signal from a switch, and it will read the voltage provided by the temperature sensor circuit. I will also design the board to control a fan, but I will implement it a second time. The schematic is pretty rough, but I have attached the serial wire pins for programming, the SSR GPIO, the I2C pins for the OLED, the button, the temperature sensor, and the transistor for the fan. The other components are a voltage regulator and mainly decoupling capacitors. I will use the internal oscillator for this project. Then, after designing the board, I can start making some black magic stuff. Here I'm using the auto-aligning stencil technique I've shown in my previous video. After placing the board in a template, I can spread the solder paste. Not bad for a completely DIY setup. Now I can place the components using the vacuum pen I've built in the past video. I can almost easily place 0402 components as well as bigger ones like the regulator and the microcontroller, just by changing the tip. Now I have to do by hand what this board is meant to do. control the temperature to match the solder profile. The compound I'm using is the SN42 by 58. And this is the PCB freshly baked. Well, in reality this circuit was not working because I've speedrun the etching process, making a complete mess. So I took the opportunity to design an even more compact board. After spreading the solder paste, placing components and reflowing, this is the final result. After soldering the programming cables, I can try to connect it to the PC. Okay, the LED is turning on and it didn't go on fire. A first success. But now I have to write the firmware, or at least the first part. To make a nice reflow, the microcontroller must match the most possible the reflow profile. I don't want to use any PID controller, just some simple mechanism. For the compound I'm using, the graph looks something like this. It can be divided in 3 different states. In the first one, the temperature must reach about 100 degrees Celsius in about 70 seconds. In the second one, needs to increase of about 30 degrees from the previous state in about 70 seconds. And in the third one, in about 30 seconds, must reach about 180 degrees and then can decrease. The core idea is that in the first part, the SSR is fully on. Then it is PWM controlled. Then it is turned on again. I've soldered the OLED display, and if I short those 2 top pins, I can see a new screen. This new screen shows the current temperature, the current state and the elapsed time in seconds. The bottom image is intended to be a graph that generates pixel by pixel every 2 seconds the temperature versus time. You can see that after soldering the temperature sensor using my body heat or a heat source, the graph changes its shape. Before continuing with the coding, I want everything to be firmly in place. This requires designing a frame and 3D printing it. I also have to mention that I want everything very compact. So if you see it very small, that's why. This will complicate further processes, but to me, it's worth it. I think I need a new 3D printer, but the screen and the board fit inside almost perfectly. I wanted to attach some kind of connector. This will be extremely handy when I want to detach the device from the oven to reprogram it. I'm going to recycle one from this board of a broken LCD, and I'm also stealing its buttons. Those copper wires that you see are insulated. I'm just removing the coating on the ends. They are pretty interesting because they occupy almost no space. Now I have to complete all the connections, always using that kind of wire. This process is quite painful. On the connector, I will attach GND, 5 volts, 3.3 volts from the regulator, the sensor and the SSR. However, this is a more realistic schematic. 5 volts are provided by a Motorola power supply. Finally, I will have an oven from Motorola. This is the SSR I'll be using. It's old, dirty, rusty, but it also has some flaws. The idea was to place it in the corner, where I've seen that when the oven is hot, that portion is cold. As mentioned in the first part of the video, to connect the SSR, I have to make an interruption to the power supply, so the SSR can close the circuit when needed. Playing with the house power supply is extremely dangerous, so if you are inspired by this project and you want to make something similar, remember to use your brain. This stuff can literally kill you. To save some space, I had to solder directly the inputs of the 5 volts Motorola unit to the main AC power. I had to open it brutally with the angle grinder. To make it as flat as possible, I milled a few millimeters out of it. At that point, I was really asking myself what was wrong with my life. But hey, have you ever milled a Motorola power supply? Because I have! I made a few holes in the box to let the cables pass, and after many struggles, I've managed to put everything in place. Is it going to explode if I turn it on? Unfortunately for you, it didn't. The Motorola box provides 5 volts, so I can continue. Now I have to understand where to place the controller and to solder properly the male connector. As said before, one input of the connector is the thermistor. I haven't placed it yet, so it's time to do it. I've made this S shape with an iron wire that will serve as the base for the sensor, and then I joined everything together with some polyamide tape. Okay, the most tedious part is done. Now let's dive more into the algorithm that I applied. As stated before, the graph is composed of 3 main states. However, in reality, I will subdivide everything with 5 states. I still need to understand the duty cycle of the third state. When I press the button, an external interrupt is generated by the falling edge of the signal. This will start an internal counter that counts up to 500 milliseconds. When it reaches 500 milliseconds, it will start executing another function, where it checks if the button is still pressed. If not, it means it was just a glitch. If yes, it checks at which state we are. If the state is 0, or the start screen, it will start the cycle putting state equal to 1. If the state is 1, 2, or something else, it will reset everything and put state equal to 0. The normal cycle, or the analog void loop in Arduino IDE, is used to print on the screen whenever the right screen variable is set to 1. Then there is a 1 Hz cycle. Every second a function is called, thanks to an internal counter. This will execute some code depending on the state where it is. It always turns on the ADC to measure the voltage partition of the temperature sensor. When finishes, the conversion creates another interrupt that clears the interrupt flag in the correct register, then set the right screen equal to 1. So the normal cycle can draw a new pixel every 2 seconds on the screen. And the cycle repeats again until the last state, or if the button is pressed during the operation. Okay, it's time to test it. What is that? And why the SSR is turned on? Oh, the ground cable just detached. Now, let's try this seriously. It reaches about 100 C in the correct amount of time, but with the current 20% duty cycle, it isn't able to reach 140 degrees in time. Let's change it to 50%. Now, in this state, it is able to reach 140 degrees. Now, the algorithm is set up using time as feedback, but that's not reliable. It may be better to use temperature as feedback. So, when it reaches specific temperatures, it changes states. Before trying this new strategy, I had to finish to design the case. I've made these 2 little pieces that will house the main frame. Again, my 3D printer does what it can. Let's try it again. I also added those vertical lines to understand more clearly at which state we are. Nope, 35% is not enough. Let's increase it to 45%. Okay, let's also see if it turns off during the process. Yes, it works. Let's try it for real now. Well, to me, that seems to be working. By pure chance, I was making a board for another video. So I took the opportunity to record the first performance of this oven, even if the board was really small. But in the next videos, I will make bigger boards to test even more the capability of this oven. Under the microscope, this is the first result I achieved. All the microchip pads seems to be soldered. Most of the components are well soldered too, but some of them seems to be floating. Let's try again with another similar board. The result, again, seems promising, but there are still some errors. From another perspective, you can see that most of the components are soldered, but some others don't. Is that because my solder paste was too cold or too hot? Do I need to tweak some temperature parameters? Do I need to add a tiny bit of flux to my paste? For this, I'll ask you in the comments, so you can also be part of this project. And I've also opened a new Patreon. I know it may be a bit too early, but if you want to support my channel and my research on electronics, microelectronics, and mechanical machining, here's how you can do it. And I will be extremely grateful to you. If you feel it's not a moment yet, but you want to see these videos become even more advanced, you can subscribe to my channel. It's free for you, but you will help me a lot. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.